know that in these uncertain times, it's a little unusual to see what is happening as far as different markets. Just wanted to let you know that the good news is that Bell County and Lampasas County have deemed real estate agents essential. People do have to move, so it makes sense that they would do that. Coryell doesn't have a shelter in place yet, so we don't quite know how that's going to work should that happen. The purpose of today is just to talk about how things might change and how that might affect you in this situation. So first thing I wanted to talk about is if you were in the market to purchase a home now, how would you do that given all the risks that come into place with walking with agents into homes, especially ones that are owner occupied. So obviously that would be higher risks. So you have options. People are going to be doing more virtual tours. There's something called Matterport that I hear some agents are going to start using with their listings. And there's also something called Sight Unseen, which with military and relocations is actually a very common thing. I've worked with it many times. There are benefits to Sight Unseen as well. Unless you're buying your forever home, then obviously you're probably going to want to make sure everything's absolutely perfect because you know you're going to be there for like 30 some years. But if you know that you're only going to be in a home for maybe 5, maybe even less than that, then buying Sight Unseen is actually probably better in some instances simply because you are not emotionally attached to the home as you are when you just walk in and fall in love with it. So that means that you can perhaps negotiate slightly better and you're going with more of a logical mindset than when it's more emotional. So you can, still have your inspectors come in. They are still working. Title companies are still working. Lenders are still working. So that's what I've seen some people do, not even in the situation, and I really haven't had many people have actually no one that I can think of has bought Sight Unseen and sat there and complained and said that was the worst thing they ever done. I have not heard it. I will also bring up in new construction, oftentimes floor plans aren't built and people do just that. Granted, that's new homes, they're not worried about condition as much, but I have seen where people have maybe complained that, once the house was built and they're living in it, oh, I wish I knew that the loft was slightly larger. So I just want to point out that those issues do happen regardless of whether it's new construction or buying a Sight Unseen. That's just the nature of not actually being able to walk through it first, which is why I would say if this is going to be your forever home, you might want to wait till April. But if it's not and you need a place to move, especially if you're military or relocating for work, then just think of it more of, I guess, from an investor's standpoint of, okay, financially, is this the wisest decision? Does this meet my needs? Is this something that financially I can walk away from when I have to leave later? So that's as far as purchasing. So then the next question is, should you list? Well, that's going to be a decision you're going to have to make. You have to understand that if you list, not as many buyers may want to walk in currently. However, I would suggest that if you did decide to list, you absolutely had to sell, which people do. The things that are good about selling now is, number one, we still kind of know that rates are low. Now, they are volatile rates. We have seen them one day at 3%, another day at 4.75 for someone, and then it's back down a little bit more. So we don't know where they're going to be. Relatively speaking, it's still lower than it's been in history. So even if it's 3 or 4.75, it's still better than, 6, 8, 18, based on historic numbers. My advice though is if you do decide that, hey, I have to sell right away, I want to sell while there are buyers, because this is PCS season, people are thinking about moving, even if they can't move right now, they want a place to secure to go to when they can move. So buyers are out there. I had a property just recently go under contract, 3 days on the market, 7 offers, multiple offer situation. Seller got to pick. So it could be a very good time, and this home was especially, it was under $150,000. So if you have a home that's $150,000 or less, this probably is a great time to still go ahead and put it on the market, with the understanding that if you do so while it's owner occupied, you are taking risks of getting sick or getting someone else sick. So I highly encourage that if you decide that you must list, that you do so vacant. That kind of limits the risk somewhat. There's still risk because buyers can still come in and maybe, something doesn't get wiped down right and another buyer comes in and they pick it up. But assuming that people wipe down things before they walk in, right, hand sanitize before, take proper precautions, wipe things as they leave, whatever, then on a vacant home, it's less likely to have as much, contagious nature. That's my opinion. It's not a proven fact. That's just my way of thinking. So If you are going to list, because you absolutely have to, I would suggest doing it vacant. If you don't have to list right now, then that's a decision that you're going to have to make on whether or not you're comfortable. So those are my thoughts. Still think it's a pretty strong market. I don't think that if you definitely wanted to sell, I don't think that I would let this situation stop you, because there are ways to work around that, and I would love to talk to you more about that. On another note, why am I in home clothes? Because obviously I'm at home working. So just know that while I'm at home, I'm helping my children with homeschooling, of course. I'm doing things around the house that needs to be done, so I'm not, I guess, as much on social media as I normally am. But we are all adapting, and I actually am just wanting to let you know that I am here for you. So if you have any questions, anything that you need help with, let me know. Please consider me a resource.